industrial development, besides working as a district magistrate in 2 districts of Assam. He's also worked as a director in the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Heavy Industries in the Government of India. Our speaker, inviting Dr. Huzaifa Khorakiwala. He heads the non-profit organization, Swachh Foundation, which runs several programs in health, education, water, and sanitation across the length and the breadth of the country. Its flagship program, Mobile 1000, operates more than 90 mobile medical units across 18 states in India, administrating free primary health care to more than 2 million Indians in the rural and the remote parts of the country. They also have a sanitation program that is Pronto Toilets. This is a part of the Prime Minister's Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and it has now undertaken an ambitious plan of constructing more than 60,000 household toilets in Odisha. He is the Executive Director of Swachh Limited and is also part of the promoter family of the Swachh Group, a leading pharmaceutical and a healthcare group. And our next speaker, Mr. Anand Shekhar. He currently serves as the team leader for Executing Agency for Global Sanitation Fund in India. This program supports community initiatives for realizing access to sustainable sanitation and hygiene benefits. He has over 15 years of exposition. He has served DFID India in 2012 as the WASH advisor and the Water Aid also. He's worked with them from 2003 to 9 as a regional manager. He's an expert in the areas of program management, policy advocacy, project planning, and also evaluation. So I hand over only 2 speakers. We also have our team, the Swachh Bharat team of QCI from the Chairman's office present here with us. So with all of you, we now start with these discussions, and I hand over to the chairperson of the session, Mr. Saraswati Prasad, for the proceedings and first his opening remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The 2 distinguished speakers with me on the dais. Swachh Bharat mission, as all of you are aware, was launched on the 2nd of October 2014. There have been sanitation programs in the past also, but on 2nd October when the program was launched, there was a clearly defined objective, and essentially what it meant was that the entire country should become open defecation free by the 2nd October 2019. It's a huge challenge, but that is one of the key objectives. The other objective was also to ensure that there is adequate environmental cleanliness, which meant, amongst other things, lot of effort on solid and liquid waste management. So these are the essentially 2 key challenges. Now, as you're all aware, this is a problem that the government thinks is a problem. Perhaps it is not considered a problem by a large segment of the population, and that is why we are where we are. Close to about, according to the latest government data that we have, about 46% of the rural households still do not have access to toilets. Many of you would be aware, but some of you may be working in other fields and may not have paid too much attention to this. But it's India. India is the biggest contributor to open defecation in the world, and there is wide evidence of very close relationship between poor sanitation and the poor health standards, and there's so many links available. In fact, there are studies which show that open defecation is linked with stunting. I mean, I think many of you would be aware that although we keep talking about the demographic dividend that this country can encash, close to 40% of our children are stunted. And there are studies which show that it is perhaps very, very closely related to open defecation. On the lighter side, we are in the season of Olympics. In fact, my earlier minister used to keep mentioning that sports, even performance in sports is related to open defecation. And there are many statisticians amongst us, they would perhaps challenge this. I almost laughed at it, but I did actually carry out a small study. And that was, I just looked at the per unit population medals won in the last national games by the states. So what it meant was number of medals won by a state divided by its population. And then I tried to find out what is the correlation between this figure and sanitation coverage, which we have census data available. And the correlation coefficient was really, really high. It was 0.71. And by any standards on 27 states or 29 states for which we had data, this was really significant. All the t-tests and things that you do. But I think there can be counter arguments on academic grounds because there may be other underlying factors connecting them too. So I won't take too much of time. I think there'll be opportunity for me to perhaps intervene at the end of the the presentations by the two speakers. I'll stop here and may I request Dr. Josefa Korai Kiwala to make his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here at this quality conference, which is organized, and to talk about the sanitation issues. I'm going to talk a little bit on the work that Swachh Foundation has been doing. We are in existence since 2008, and since 2013, that is around 3 years ago, we entered the sanitation thing. We entered just about 1 year before Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was launched by the Prime Minister. And so I'll talk on two programs we have in the Swachh Bharat part of it. One is Pronto toilets, that is, and the second is Swachh Bharat recycle machine, which is a plastic bottle recycle machine. So the need, I think by now, the whole India and every citizen of this country knows that what is the need of the Swachh Bharat mission of the Prime Minister. And we all know how much of open defecation is there, 600 million. And the dropout of the schools, rural girls in the school, they drop out because of that. And there's a water contamination which is caused because of this. And this water contamination causes health problems. So sanitation and health are very closely linked with each other. And this is a thing. And also a lot of diarrhea and all these other diseases are there. So our toilet program, we call it Pronto. It's just a word that we gave it. And we have two types of toilets. One is the normal toilet and one is the bio toilet. So the bio toilet is a environment friendly toilet. And if you see the drawing over here, on the top is a shelter, and then the waste of the bio toilet, it goes to a biodigester tank, and this biodigester tank so it's okay, no problem. Yeah. So this biodigester tank is fitted under the ground, and the size of this tank depends on the expected number of users that we have to calculate. So if we calculate that 100 people are going to use the toilet, then based on amount of the human waste that is generated, based on that, the size of the biodigester tank is calculated. And then the tank is under the ground, and 1/3 of the tank has bacteria inside of it. It's called bacteria inoculum, and there are 3 bacteria which have been cultured over here. And one bacteria comes from Antarctica, and because it was found in Antarctica that when the scientists, they did open defecation over there in Antarctica, suddenly after one day or it disappeared, there was nothing left. Because that bacteria had a certain quality that it ate up the human waste and it decomposed the human waste. So that bacteria was brought to India, it was cultured with other bacteria, and this bacteria inoculum was formed. And this bacteria inoculum goes in the biodigester tank, and when the human waste comes down to the biodigester tank, the bacteria inoculum and human waste, they interact with each other, and it decomposes over a period of 3 days, and the result of that is methane gas, the biogas, methane gas and water. So this is a water which can be sent away, and it can be used for the irrigation and all that. And the gas, it just goes in the air. You can just release the methane gas in the air. So this is the whole point of a bio toilet is that there is no sewerage. Every normal toilet has a sewerage which comes out of it. In a bio toilet, there is no sewerage. Otherwise, you have a sewerage. The sewerage will mix with the river or some sea or some water body, and it causes a water contamination. In a bio toilet, there is water and there is methane gas. There is no sewerage at all. So this technology right now has been discovered, and a lot of people are implementing it. We have built 200 bio toilets, but this technology is still evolving because it has not been absolutely certain that this methane gas, the water quality sometimes is not so pure which comes out. And if you don't use a bio toilet for 1 month, then the bacteria will die. The bacteria dies, so you have to put a fresh bacteria inside of it. So it is an evolving technology, but this could be the future of sanitation because you don't have any sewerage coming out of this. So these are some of the features. The bacteria composes into water and gas, and the residue is colorless, odorless, free of pathogens, 100% eco-friendly, 100% maintenance free, and no need of connectivity to sewage line and septic tank. So these are some of the main features of the bio toilet. So whenever we build toilet, we put 4 poster in the, there are 4 walls. Inside of a toilet, there are 4 walls. So in the 4 wall, we put the poster inside of that. So here this is a poster against open defecation, that you should not indulge in open defecation. Then this is a poster about the toilet, that you should value the toilet and you should keep the toilet clean, and that way. So it's a little cartoon, you keep me clean and I'll keep you healthy. So this is a concept of it. So these are the 2 Now we have launched a project in Orissa to build 60,000 household toilets, and the project is 1 month old right now, and it is a 1-year project. It will finish in 1 year time, and we are building 60,000 household toilets over there. This is some of the toilets that we built, Pronto Bio toilets. The one on this side is, left-hand side is, the one on the right-hand side is we build with the Delhi police over here, and the black color one is with Chennai Corporation. And some of the toilet in the rural areas we built. One is in Jhabua, Madhya Pradesh, then in Telangana, then Washim in Maharashtra, then Thane district, Kerala, Rajamundry in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. So this was a little bit on the toilets. Then just on the Swachh Bharat part of it, Swachh Bharat has many dimensions to it. Toilet is just one dimension of the whole Swachh Bharat thing. It is not the only dimension. To keep India clean, to make India as clean as some of the foreign countries, toilet is a good beginning. But there is a lot of waste which is generated. There is solid waste, there is plastic, glass, and all these other type of waste which is generated. And for that, this plastic bottle. So this is a plastic bottle, and there is a machine, and that is called Swachh Bharat Recycle Machine. So we named the machine after Swachh Bharat, and we called it Swachh Bharat Recycle Machine. So it recycles the plastic. So I'll just explain this thing. The reality is that there are 5.4 million ton of plastic waste generated in India every year, and 2.1 million tons are uncollected and littered. And all this thing is difficult to use again and to decompose. And it is a threat to animal and environment. And plastic take hundreds of years to break down in a landfill, and plastic is non-renewable and toxic. So the Swachh Bharat, one Swachh Bharat recycle machine, it can recycle 1 million bottles every year. And it is a recycling solution. And the machine has a LCD screen, and you can print some discount coupons of Domino's or McDonald's or something on both the side. And you can educate and create awareness and brand building. So the advantages of the machine are that it reduces landfill, it increases the recycling rates, it lowers the greenhouse gas emissions, it reduces the water wastage by 80%. Then recycled material can be used for new products like t-shirt or something. The PET which is generated from this recycled plastic, you can use it for a new product like making a t-shirt. And we are launching a brand of t-shirt with this plastic what is coming out. That is called Peace t-shirt. We are launching that. And then it creates a job opportunity, and it provides adequate space for brand marketing, enhance brand visibility and outreach. And the users get an instant reward when returning used containers and motivating repeated use. So this is how the machine is. This is one machine we installed in the Churchgate railway station in Mumbai, and you have to put the bottle in that, you have to put this plastic bottle inside. Then the machine has a crusher inside of it, and the crusher crushes the plastic bottle. So this whole bottle, it becomes just so much. So in one day, we can crush 5,000 plastic bottles. Then you remove the, whatever is crushed, you remove it out, and you take it for recycling to the PET granule factory. You have to take it in a bus, not in a, in a vehicle. You have to take it and you take it to that recycling factory, plastic. That plastic factory makes PET granules. And from that PET granules, you can make different products. You can make t-shirt, and there are other different type of products that can be made. So you have to put the bottle inside and you have to do this. So beside these two, we are launching one app, and that app is called I am Swachh. And this is a community-based app, and what this app basically does is that in different communities, people can register as I am Swachh volunteer. And then if they register as a I am Swachh volunteer, they are given certain responsibility, which they have a certain pledge that they have to keep the surroundings clean. And they register themselves as a I am Swachh volunteer, and they are given certain responsibility and duties what they have to do. And we are hoping that different communities across India will register on this app I am Swachh. It will train them how it has to be done, how the segregation of the waste has to be done at the source, and different type of guidelines it will give them. And then the people can register as a Swachh volunteer. So this is my presentation, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you, sir.
Thank you for your excellent presentation. I think we got to know about, I believe this is the same DRDO technology biotoilets that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the same technology, you're right.
So you have highlighted the various possible uses and some weaknesses. As you have mentioned, this is an evolving technology. Many of you would be aware that the same technology is being used by the Indian Railways in a big way. The Indian Railways is committed to making their tracks and trains open defecation free. You're all aware the toilets that we have in the railways, the human excreta goes directly to the track, which is actually open defecation. So the railways, Indian Railways has adopted this technology, and they are in the process of retrofitting existing coaches with this technology, and all the new coaches that they are manufacturing, they are coming with this built-in toilets. So over a period of a few years, we will have the Indian Railways completely stopping open defecation. And then he also talked about a very good innovation about recycling of plastic bottles. May I request Anand to make his presentation?
Honorable Chairman, sir, it's an extreme privilege and honor to be part of your panel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity that the chair today himself is the anchor of Swachh Bharat mission in this country. He is the mission holder, and we feel very inspired, working with him outside this room, and I'm sure this evening inside this room. He's a big inspiration for this national mission, which I'm going to argue is not a toilet building program, but a nation building program. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may start with a question, and if the chair permits, may I ask how many of you have ever defecated in open? None of you? It's amazing. Thank you, Chairman, for coming to my rescue. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, 550 million people in this country defecated in open. This is degrading. This can be overcome. And as a result, that 550 million people defecated in open, we have a child dying every 40 seconds, which is like a dozen jumbo jets, crashing every day. Again, these lives can be saved. And hence, what popularly is being seen as a toilet building or a sanitation program, in reality, sir, is actually a nation building program. It impacts much more than just taps and toilets that's being created in the village. If I may share the big picture, historically we have had sanitation programs, but Swachh Bharat mission is a big departure from just construction of toilets. This is a much more harmonized approach to investing in changing and building new behaviors. It is an investment in improvising capacities of poor and marginalized people. And above all, it is also ensuring that the infrastructure that is being created in villages are owned, operated, and used by the people. Ladies and gentlemen, the benefits that accrue out of any sanitation intervention is only when you use the infrastructure and when you practice some key hygiene behaviors. Swachh Bharat mission, by changing this paradigm, by changing this design of implementation, is a big leap forward towards building healthier people, healthier children, giving people a sound and healthy start in the life, which is so very central for a nation which aspires to become strong, healthy, and grow. If we look at the nation building framework of Swachh Bharat mission, Swachh Bharat mission provides amazing amount of flexibility to state governments. It in many ways strengthens the federal arrangement that we have. States own, manage, design, and deliver sanitation program, and mainly the policy advice, the larger input, a large amount of financial and technical assistance is provided by the central government, but still it's being seen as states owning and delivering this program. In many ways, state institutions' capacity to co-create, co-fund, co-manage has increased manifold because we have a program which takes states as partners in implementation of the program. There is a lot of legitimacy and capacity building, that is happening at the state level. And on the right side of the continuum are citizens. For the first time, citizens are demanding services, owning services, and managing services. And because of the implementation blocks, there's a lot of accountability on the duty bearer, and there is a lot of empowerment happening for the rights holder, which are the people. And because duty bearers are becoming more accountable and the right holders are demanding services, the sanitation program is a very different play in the villages of India. Just working on a simple model of, what gears promote nation building. You have market which has to play a role. You have academic institutions, academia to contribute. There has to be strong policy networks, and there has to be a very strong civil society action, for a vibrant country, for a vibrant nation. And I think Swachh Bharat mission, in many ways ticks all boxes. There is a committee at the national level, which you can approach if you have either an innovative technology or an innovative process. It is examined and then replicated, scaled up nationwide. You have amazing amount of resource organizations, key resource centers that are coming up in each state, districts, being taken by private sector, academic institutions, INGOs, who are coming with different resources that are needed at different level to ensure that people realize sustainable health and hygiene benefits. There are a lot of policy networks, think tanks, which are already working, thinking, and contributing to this full implementation of sanitation program, and a very strong civil society network. that is being supported by the enabling policy environment of Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. And you see a lot of NGOs, becoming part of the sanitation program and helping government, deliver this service to the last mile. Hence, a lot of people who would naturally get excluded in a general sanitation programming is getting included. This time, SBM is very closely looking things from the equity and inclusion lens, and hence, everyone is kind of being catered and taken forward. What's a toilet worth? A toilet is a toilet, but the positive impact that it can make on the environment, my previous speaker told about water quality issues, the amount of difference it can make to human lives, and the economic contribution that Swachh Bharat mission can make and is making is phenomenal. So what may look like a brick and mortar structure in a village actually has manifold manifestations and is contributing to environmental upgradation, is contributing to human health, and is contributing to economic gains. A very simple, estimate says that if you have to make a choice as to where do governments need to put in money, I think the political economy equations come into play, and there is irrefutable evidence that if you make investment on sanitation, the returns are much higher compared to when you make on HIV, AIDS, or education, or anything else. I'm not saying those sectors are not important, but because Government of India is making this amazing amount of investment in sanitation, over a period of time, the return would be inefficient. We would gain a lot more than what we would have invested. In terms of implementation and operation and maintenance, and that's a big win for the country. We have women, who are leading sanitation programs in many states. For example, the new design in Bihar, a battleground state, which if achieves ODF, will make our chair very, very happy. It's a big defaulter in terms of, or the task is very, very onerous. There, amazing, work is being done by self-help groups. So the new design that has been rolled out in state of Bihar calls for Jivika or SHG women to lead implementation of sanitation program. And I'm sure, when women lead, it's a very different outcome that we are able to achieve. The socio-economic impacts are going to be amazing. Back of the envelope estimate says if we are able to achieve Swachh Bharat, the infant mortality rate would come down to 20. The GDP gains would be 3 to 4 times. It can contribute immensely to employment generation and creation. It can be a big supplement to the MNREGS, and one estimate says that at least 160 crore person days of employment, will be created through Swachh Bharat mission. And finally, which is very interesting, is the knowledge services, is the knowledge networking that is happening. The learning products, the learning opportunities, sessions like this, I think has gone up many-fold and is allowing people to learn and then to emulate in other sectors, which is a big contribution that this program is making. For the private sector, Swachh Bharat mission is going to make a big, big contribution to market development. Construction, bricks, mortar, cement, equipments, amazing. And because this program is also promoting hand washing, the soap industry is going to have a big play out there in rural areas. Hand washing is one of the 3 central or cardinal behaviors that is being promoted under Swachh Bharat mission, and hence there is a huge market, for these industries to get into it. Microfinance is already doing an amazing work. Many people, who cannot make a one-time investment are getting loans, and microfinance institutions report that the return is 99%. So there is a good scope for them to go and support the poor and marginalized, realized sanitation services. I don't know if you have heard about this, but the central approach of Swachh Bharat mission is to trigger community. When I say trigger community, it is asking them to collectively analyze their situation, agree on remedial actions needed, and collectively work on it. So this very idea and notion of collective action, not individual option, option. I build a toilet, I don't care about you. No. This whole approach of Swachh Bharat mission is of collective action through community triggering. And if you go to villages that have attained ODF status, the social harmony is amazing. I report because we work in many, many villages in many states. There are new social norms, which this program has created. And this is a big contribution, that different groups can come together, and work on new social norms which allow people to safely dispose their excreta. This is a big silent revolution that is happening, and we need to take notice of. We talked about institutional strengthening. There are different institutions involved at different level. Amazing, again, number of training is being imparted. Different institutions are seeing improvement in their capacities. There is good HR connects, virtual, real, people are meeting, sharing experiences, and then a lot of exposure to different places. Mukhias, simple functionaries in village who had never gone even to their district headquarters are being taken to different states, successful examples, and hence, we are creating a resource base in village which is much more informed, which is much more educated, much more aware, and is ready to own, operate, and manage. My final, and which is very close to my heart personally, is the learning that this Swachh Bharat mission is throwing. How do you work with different community groups? How do you approach media dark villages? How do you ensure that disabled people get access to services? How do you ensure that we move up the ladder, not only sanitation, but menstrual hygiene management needs of women? There are so many important allied issues that are happening along with Swachh Bharat mission that there is enough scope to learn, emulate, and build our own capacities. And finally, because all of this is happening, sanitation is much more romantic. It used to be a very, very dry subject, toilets, but I tell you, it's a big leap towards nation building. Societies, climes, country is benefiting in many different ways. And I'm going to make a very fervent request that sanitation is now a people's movement. Each of us can contribute, and please join this mission, and let's do our part to make this country free from open defecation. Together we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anand, for an excellent presentation on what Swachh Bharat is all about. You have essentially said all that the government wants to say, and thankfully you are not part of the government. So you have good words about the program, and I feel really privileged to be part of this program. I think we have some time for some questions and answers, so we can have a few questions. I think we'll take 2 questions and then we'll answer, and then we'll again go back to the floor. Yes. Your mic is not here.
How much is the cost of one toilet, that is biodegradable toilet which you are making, and how much is the cost of this machine which is compacting 5,000 plastic bottles a day?
Okay. So
how the further recycling is
okay.
developed? Although it is DRNO technology, but you are an actual putting it and the maintenance part of it.
Okay. So the cost of the bio-toilet, it depend on how the specification of the toilet. Now you can have an individual bio-toilet if it is at the household level, and if you estimate that 6 people are going to use it every day, it will come to around 30,000 rupees. So a bio toilet is more expensive than a normal toilet. So this is one of the problem little bit. It's about 30 to 40% more expensive than normal toilet. The second, if you build community bio toilet with 4-seater or 8-seater, you have to estimate number of users. So if you estimate 300 users a day, then there is a size of the biodigester tank. It will be 6,000 liter, 10,000 liter. And depending on the size of the biodigester tank, the costing is worked out. Because one is the size of the tank. The bigger the tank, the more the cost. And if the tank is more bigger, you require more bacteria also to be put in the tank. So the entire costing depends on the size and the specification of the toilet.
Any idea that if 100 people are...
See, 100 people will cost about 3 lakh rupees, approximately.
What about the maintenance?
The maintenance of bio toilet has that advantage, you know, that you don't require to maintain it from the septic tank where you have to clean it every 6 months and leach pit and all that. The bio toilet is a self thing. But the top part of the toilet, that is the shelter, where the people do the defecation, that requires the same normal maintenance as any normal toilet. The bio toilet requires that same maintenance. There is no difference. You require water to flush, you require water to clean that and all that.
So there are, yeah.
For Saraswati Prasad. Now the thing is that 3 lakh rupees only for 100 people. It's a very small strength in a village. So when this kind of money is to be spent in village, definitely is for a very good cause. So what I would like to suggest that the Ministry of Rural Development, the lot of money which is coming for the village development fund, that can be diverted to support this kind of an initiative of Swachh Bharat. That's what is that, you know, the integrated approach of 2-3 connected ministries.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, perhaps you mentioned about 100 for 100 users, you need just 3 lakh rupees for the tank or for the entire construction.
See, there is a cost of shelter.
Yeah.
So 100 users will have approximately 2 shelters, 2 people, 2 WC you will require.
Okay.
And for each user, you require around 30 liter capacity for each user. So 100 users will require around 3,000 liter tank.
So you're assuming that 100 users can be catered by having a 2 WC community toilet?
This is a assumption. Now if the assumption changes, if you say 4 WC, then the costing will change a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I unfortunately that price list of that toilet is not in my mind. I don't have it over here, you know, it's written on the paper. But this is what I roughly remember, you know.
In fact,
that 100 liter users is approximately 3 lakh rupees.
I'll just supplement this. There are many licensees of the DRDO technology, and I think your foundation or your firm will be one of them. So it's not that this 30,000 is the unique number. So there are other manufacturers who have slightly different materials and all that. So the lowest cost that I have heard of is about 18,000 for a household level toilet. Or some people have even said that we can bring it down to about 14,000 and 15,000. Whereas the government assistance available for a household toilet is 12,000. To the other question regarding why don't we promote this kind of a thing, this is a permitted technology, and central government doesn't run this program. So as I think Anand made it very clear, so it is enabled. It is enabled.
The government is giving money to the state government. Now under federal structure, the expenditure is gone to 42% of the.
Well, all this is fine.
outlay.
Yeah.
So why we cannot emphasize on the states that please implement?
Yeah. I mean, these are bigger issues. I think the lady in the second last row, I think she has been asking for. Yeah, you have a mic. You can just introduce yourself and then.
I'll just tell you one second.
Yeah. Just a little after. Yeah. No. You are not audible.
Hello? Yeah, is it okay? Yeah. So I'm Neha and I'm a student at Amity
And my question is addressed to Dr. Zephyr. Sir, while explaining your model of pronto bio toilets, you made a statement that methane gas is released in the air. So, methane gas is a greenhouse gas which will lead to global warming. While solving the problem of sanitation, your model proposes is causing global warming. How do you account for that?
So it's a very good question you have raised, and your question is 100% correct. So the answer to that is the amount of methane gas that is released is very small. The quantity is a very little quantity, and when you have a community toilet of 4-seater, you can capture the methane gas and you can convert to cooking gas. So it doesn't go in the air. So, but your question is right, that it's an unfriendly gas and it causes greenhouse warm, all this, so.
And in fact, all toilets which are having an anaerobic technology will definitely produce the same amount of or similar amounts of methane. So that's being produced anyway. The other thing is that this biodigester technology is still very, very in its infancy. The total number of toilets all over the country, biodigester toilets in the country will not be even 1 lakh. Whereas under the Swachh Bharat mission program alone, close to about 50 to 60,000 toilets are getting constructed every day in the rural areas. So the problem is still not grave enough to be really worried about. There are, please. Your mic is not working. You have to. No, you have to.
Hello.
Now it's fine.
See, one is R.P. Lahiri, I am from IIT Kharagpur. My question is systems that we have to follow in Swachh Bharat. I stay in IP extension, that societies. Near my place, there is a mother dairy. A beautiful toilet has been built up. And some, all this water supply and all those are there. Now, there is no cleaning, nothing, no water. So, it is more hygienic to defecate it outside than inside. Now, in the system, there should be maintenance. They have to understand how the maintenance also should be done along with the construction. Otherwise, the thing, once you spend money and do it, it will be unused because people cannot go inside. So what is that in your mind to make it effective in effective use?
This question is to me?
You are the Swachh Bharat people.
I'll try.
Because I feel...
I'll attempt an answer, but before that, you have any suggestions?
My suggestion is, there should be some sort of, in Delhi I've seen many places where even in this, this Connaught place, there is a free toilet. One fellow sits there and he really cleans, looks after things like this. So things are okay. Cleaned, all these taps and everything is down there. So question is, when a thing is done, maintenance part, that things will not be stolen and then to be cleaned properly. The whole thing has to be there. Without that, simply building a toilet room with some taps and all, and that is no afterwards maintenance and all, that is sheer wastage of money. Because it is cleaner to defecate outside than inside. I went once inside, then I had so much of, upsetness, I could not take my food or anything for at least 1 or 2 days. So much, this thing. So this thing has to be taken care in the understanding of this thing. See, the defecation...
I think the point, you have made the point.
No, my point is, you answer mine because you are experts in this thing. And you are dealing with this.
Yeah.
Government is spending crores and crores of rupees on this.
The government is aware of the problem, and as you are aware, O&M is an absolutely important aspect for a public toilet. And the experience countrywide, you are talking essentially about the urban areas, but I primarily handle the rural areas. Experience countrywide is that public toilets is really, really difficult to maintain. So unless you have a management system in place before you build it, that is the recommendation of the government, that you should not build public toilets unless you can put in place an O&M mechanism, and that O&M mechanism can come either from user charges or some mechanism where you can pay for that maintenance. I mean, it's not good enough to just build a toilet, so we agree with you, and that is the government policy as far as the rural area is concerned.
It is happening in the capital of India.
Yes.
What will happen in the far off villages? It is still worse.
Yes, certainly. I mean, that is the experience, and in Delhi, although that's not my area of responsibility, but certainly we will make the concerned municipality aware of this fact. Normally in urban areas, particularly in this area where you can generate revenues out of these toilets, they are maintained. The ones that you're talking about in Connaught Place and Lodi Garden. They don't just charge anybody, but there is money coming out of those buildings. It's not free. Nothing is free. Somebody maintains it, only that you or I may not have to pay it. But there's some money which is. That's fine. I think we can have a separate discussion on this. Any other question?
I have I'm B.K. Samanta, EMS consultant with UCI. In fact, what happened suddenly, email was sent to me in Dhanbad that you make a study of this city in respect of in Swachh Bharat mission. The marking that was done in the cities has got certain standards. Not only this. I have the pen drive slides, I can go through it, and a lot of innovation studies I have taken in this. Some of the most important is that not only about the sanitation part, the slum reconstruction, slum area, water supply, and there are other aspects which of course verbally difficult to, and some of the most important idea that I have tried to visualize. The water, the Swachh Bharat, water is the biggest crisis in India, except in the river plains and river. What has happened, two ideas I have tried to emphasize, the rainwater harvesting. Now, rainwater harvesting is mandatory. Now, it's mandatory in all towns and cities. What we are doing, that the rainwater, that we are just piping it down on the pretext of groundwater recharge. In fact, if rain falls, groundwater recharge already happens. So what I predict, what I have assumed, that if you assume a rooftop of 10 square meter, it gives you, in summer you got 200 millimeter rainfall, 10 water tankers of water. Now every city, the people are hiring tankers and giving. If we can implement it in most of the towns, I have got some drawings and all that, so it can be a great solution to the great water crisis. It can be implemented everywhere. Government is after it. It should be done. So this is one aspect. Second aspect is where there is a dam-based water supply system. What happens after February, March to June, July, it dries up. It is happening everywhere. See, I studied for DVC. I was General Manager Environment in Coalfields. The DVC dredging problem, you dredge from the reservoir area, you create more water, create more sand, you got a simple, hydraulics is very much advanced. You can have a barge-based high-capacity pontoon pump directly delivering to a separator bunker. There, you separate it to silt and sand for mine supply.
Mr. Sawant, can you be brief and
yes,
to the extent possible? Let's focus to the area that we are discussing.
Because every town, you see, having this, if you implement this idea, I have got a preliminary report I had given to in this DVC I had made, and in this preliminary report doesn't cost much, and it can be on PPP mode. The advantage is you have the more in the dams, more clearance, more reservoir capacity, more water supply, more power generation. Your sand can be sold, your silt can be given to and rest clean water goes to water supply.
Okay.
And this is another aspect that I wanted to highlight, given in the paper in this, also in this for the journal QCI, is that the bulk waste management. Bulk waste management, what is important, what I think Mr. Jai's paper has highlighted. plastic should be always separated and sold outside. This is because this is a lot of other problems. And I have suggested that, and Mr. He has already pointed out, that this is a very important point. It creates fire, a lot of problems. Wherever this management is done, the plastic part should be separated and be sold out. You see, there are a lot of consumers.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it didn't, yeah. Just a second. Just use the mic, please.
Dr. Indrajit from QCI NABET. And like in the advanced countries in Europe, like all public toilets are manned or technologically unmanned, but charging about €0.5, which is about 40 rupees. So in India, I think the success of Swachh Bharat in public facilities has to be manned, which will also help in employment generation. Besides charging the user, let's say 10 rupees, apart from that, even advertisement models around the toilet can help in employment generation as well as keeping the toilets spick and span. I think there is no other way out. We cannot leave the public to use the toilets openly. That will not work in our country.
Okay. Any other questions, observations, views?
Good evening. I am Ansh from Quality Council of India. So basically, I would request Saraswati Prasad sir to throw some light on public-private partnerships related to SBM. So what extent was it earlier, SBM, and what is the current extent of public-private partnership in current scenario?
Well, all that happens is public-private partnership, and I can't really separate it out. Whether you are building a toilet in a village, so there is a contract, there is a mason who is a private guy, there is a cement supplier who is a private guy. So if you're talking about PPP in the kind of textbook definition that you have a kind of a concession agreement, and those kinds of things are not happening in Swachh Bharat, not at least in the rural part of the Swachh Bharat mission. As you have just seen, in Swachh Bharat, even the public toilets, the thing that comes to mind is perhaps you could have a PPP model which will make a public toilet survive. Now, everything survives only if the revenues are there to sustain it. So there is no such thing as a PPP in the strict sense. The private partner also has to make enough money to sustain it. It's not just that it's some magic wand that you use for making things sustainable by involving public sector. But in a broader sense, it's all that is happening in Swachh Bharat is PPP. It's government resources, but lots of every other stakeholder is getting involved. Yeah.
We've also educators about the Swachh Bharat urban mission. We've spoken more about rural, but.
Well, I will actually not be the right person to be speaking too much about Swachh Bharat Urban, but I can tell you the Swachh Bharat Urban is essentially also about the same. The objectives are the same, that all the cities, have to become open defecation free. For that, they have a program which is similar to ours, where they provide assistance to individual households to build toilets. So there is an element of subsidy in the urban areas. So that is one. And the other component of their program is, again, assisting the cities to build their solid waste management programs. And that there, in fact, in the urban areas, I think the earlier participant, he had questioned about PPP. There they are trying to come in a big way to make use of PPP in the solid waste management in the cities. So these are the two essential ingredients of the urban mission. You would be wondering why liquid waste management is not, I didn't mention about liquid waste management. So liquid waste management is just a technical compartment that they have that is covered under their other programs. So they don't really call it Swachh Bharat Mission Urban, but they also support the liquid waste management part of the city's problem. So that's about the urban this thing. About rural, I think in quality aspects, what we are doing, I think Anand had made a fairly elaborate presentation on what's happening. If you have no more questions, then I can just, do we have any more questions? No, you have one, okay.
My question to you is how Swachh Bharat Abhiyan can align to the another government flagship program, that is the Digital India. So how could it align with the Digital India, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan program?
Okay. Well, these are pretty specific questions. Like, I mean, if you talk about Digital India, we are in the Swachh Bharat mission. You may, if you visit our website, we are one of the most transparent ministries in the country. In fact, the entire country, all the households in the rural areas, for instance, we have about 18 crore rural households. All of them, the details of each household is available on our website. You can actually go and find out which village, which household has a toilet, does not have a toilet, whether a government has provided them assistance for building a toilet in the after the launch of the mission or earlier. So these details, I mean, this is just an example. So a similar kind of a thing, I mean, if you just Google Swachh app,
Yes.
Swachh app, I don't know whether you have seen it. So that is a small application which will actually give you the details of what is happening in a particular village, including the beneficiary name. Beneficiary name is the household, the name, the head of the household's name would also be there. You can look up on your phone right now while sitting here. So there are many things that we are, I mean, there are common things between Digital India and us. And I mean, Digital India is again a very broad umbrella kind of a program. You can know mygov.in, you talk about social media, you talk about regular media, everything can be in a way included. So we try and make use of all of this to make this a transparent program and also involve people. I mean, because we realize that this is not a program which can be actually run by the government. It is actually our challenge essentially. I mean, when I started speaking, I talked about whether it is a problem of the entire country. And we thought that since 46% of the people still don't feel that this is necessary. So that means they don't consider this as a problem. Because almost every household has a phone. Most of them have televisions, but why don't they have toilets? Because they think this is not their problem. So if we think that it is our problem, then we have to make the people, each citizen realize that it is my problem and I need to solve it. So that is the biggest challenge. We are trying to make use of all the technology at our command, and that everybody starts believing that it's my problem, I need to solve it. And whatever government assistance is possible, we are trying to provide that assistance. So there is a lot of common things between Digital India and Swachh Bharat. Yeah. So I think we have had do we have any more questions? No? Huh? Okay, one more question and then we should, I think, wind up. I forgot to mention, even I think about 25% of the households that have been given toilets, even their photographs are available on the website. Although we try to tell the state governments that they should put up all the photographs, but that hasn't happened so far. But about 25% of the households, the photographs of the toilets are also available with geotag on our website, so anybody can see that.
Yeah, it's Anuj Goyal from VQMS Private Limited. We are a consulting organization. My question is, as we, regarding Swachh Bharat, we used to have a penalty for various types of defects, like thukna, like urination. But do we have any platform to authenticate कि भाई इतने बंदे penalize हुए, इतने बंदे उस category में आए, so that we can really check that some result is being driven through this, making the policies for penalization and making the Bharat Swachh Bharat. तो इस तरह का कुछ process है हमारे पास?
Unfortunately, there is no central law on taking any punitive action on a bad sanitation behavior. Sanitation is a state subject, and even within the states, this is essentially a municipal subject, municipal and the Gram Panchayat subjects. Many states have these kinds of laws. So it is happening at the local level, but the national government under the present constitution, unless the constitution is amended or we find an ingenious way of making a central law, we don't have real control over these kinds of things. But we definitely, from Government of India, advise states, share the best practices. Some of the states are actually doing all of this. But not everybody is doing that because there are many concerns. Many people think that first you have to provide the infrastructure before you start penalizing. So there are issues there. There are issues there.
Okay, thank you.
I think we've had a fairly interesting session so far. We had a beautiful presentation on some of the new and innovative technologies, and then Anand spoke very, very clearly on what Swachh Bharat aims at. Frankly, I didn't have to add much because all that the government is trying to do was elaborated in his presentation. It's essentially, as I mentioned, we want this to become a citizens program. Citizens have to realize this, and there is a huge element of the requirement for people to change their behaviors, and it's at multiple dimensions. It's even things like whether I want my toilet to be cleaned by somebody else. Do I need to clean my toilet? Or is it somebody else's job? So these are the things, I mean, there are several things, I mean, the kind of, the behaviors that we accept as normal. Spitting in public, for instance, is an absolutely normal thing in most places in the country. I mean, we have a lot to change. I mean, forget about trying to change behaviors of about 50% of the population that doesn't have access to toilets. So that is the biggest challenge that we have before us, and that's where we are trying to involve everybody. It's a very, very tough challenge, but we believe that now is the environment, now is the time. I think the country has realized, and there's so much of momentum that has been built up, that if we can do it now, we will perhaps be succeeding. There are so many things happening, I think, where QCI has been involved. I can just briefly mention about the ranking of the districts, of the cities. Then there is, again, in the rural areas also, we are trying to rank the districts on cleanliness. Now, cleanliness, I'll just spend a minute on that. It's very difficult, I mean, although it may appear easy to actually measure cleanliness. How do you compare, say, cleanliness in Lucknow? Suppose you want to say you want to compare the cleanliness of the district of Lucknow with Guwahati or say Nagpur. It is a really tough challenge. It looks simple, but how do you actually measure it? And we all realize that things that get measured, then you actually try and improve. And so I think the Prime Minister is very clear, and I think the government is very clear that we have to evolve a process of measuring and then ranking so that everybody competes. So fortunately, we have been able to evolve a very simple definition of cleanliness. And I think I'll just briefly mention that cleanliness in a particular rural area could actually be a combination of whether all households have access to safe sanitation. That means there is no open defecation. The second thing is, do you have litter around households? The third question that needs to be answered is, do you have stagnant wastewater around households? And the fourth question that needs to be answered is whether the public places you have litter all around. So if you answer these four questions, you can possibly get a measure of cleanliness. Because if you don't think it properly, very often you would think that you need to measure whether there is a pakka nali, whether there is a kacha nali, whether you have solid waste management facility somewhere, or whether your waste is segregated or not. But if you think carefully, just these four things if you measure, you can actually measure whether a particular place is clean or not. I mean, there are hows and whats to be answered. How that cleanliness is achieved, you will still have to have your solid waste management facility. You will still possibly need a pakka nali or a kacha nali or a covered drain or whatever. But to measure cleanliness, you don't need to actually try and find all of this. So then the problem has actually become, I mean, I'm sharing this almost for the first time with anyone. So this is what the government is trying to do. We'll just make use of these simple parameters, measure cleanliness in the villages, instill a sense of competition amongst villages to become clean. So each village will actually be able to know where on the cleanliness standard it stands, and then try to improve from wherever they are. Like these 4 parameters when I said, if you have 100% open defecation free households, if you have all the households without litter around them, if you have no stagnant water around the households, and if you have all your public places don't have litter, then I think it is perfectly clean. How they have achieved this is a different thing. So this is the direction that we are moving, and I think it's been a great privilege to be part of this session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you to you, sir, and to both our panelists for such an informative session on Swachh Bharat, the vision which the government has, the work which they are doing, the various organizations like WCAD and the others who are working very closely with the government of India in a PPP mode. And as he said, it has to be a people's movement. I would just like to take a minute with the permission of the chair. In fact, when you spoke about being a part of the people's movement and it has to come more of an attitudinal change, I was doing, in fact, an event with Ministry of Health. And they were talking about creating more awareness about breastfeeding. Now that is where when the minister said that it is so unfortunate that something like breastfeeding, which is so natural, today we have to come up with a program at the national level to create awareness about it. And the same goes, I think, for cleanliness, something which is so natural, something which should be coming from us. And today we have to talk at such levels and drive, in fact, jab dhodna pada logo ko ki jago India, jago for that. But thanks for that knowledge which you shared with us, and yes, the vision of the Government of India, and to both of you also for the work which you're doing. So to express thanks, I would like to request and invite Mr. Manish Pandey, the Joint Director with QCI, to kindly present the mementos. Thanking first our session chair, thanking Shri Saraswati Prasad. Can I request you, please? Thanking Mr. Khurakiwala. Thank you, sir. Now thanking and appreciating the thoughts which have been and the work shared by Mr. Anand Shekhar. Thank you very much. So with this we come to the end of the day-long sessions which we've had. Tomorrow morning we are going to be starting at 9:30. We look forward to having all of you there. We are going to be having the first session in the main hall, the one which we had in the morning, similar. So, yes, the feedback, continue to give it to us. Also on the Twitter handle, you can tweet. And yes, have a good day and carry this mission forward. Be a part of this quality movement with us. Thank you. Also, the DL Shah publication, which was launched, released in the morning, those are available outside. That's at a cost of rupees 300. If you're interested, you can purchase it from outside. Thank you.